Hello Exile, Paragon here. What I have for you today is my updated build guide for the Ele Hit of the Spectrum. So the budget is around 100 to 200 divines, and if you have the budget, you can just jump in and do this version directly. If you don't, you can check my previous videos. I have a guide that is for 20 divines, and that's the build that I used to farm everything that I have on this character. And yeah, just go there, check it, use it, get some currency, and upgrade it. Now, what we have here is a metal hit of the spectrum with 10 projectiles. Well, we're mapping, mostly because of the flask, but 10 projectiles. We have returning projectiles, so the clear is quite good. We do have a headhunter, so especially when we get those increased projectiles buff, we basically cover the whole screen. We are relatively fast with 200 movement speed. We're quite tanky for a bow character, as you've probably seen the thumbnail of the video. I will show that later, how we are so tanky. And we do have some rarity. It's 306 rarity with flask up. And I'm using an item rarity support to get some more rarity. And that's just because the damage that we currently have is more than enough for tier 16 maps. If you want to do tier 17 maps, you can try, and if that's not enough, you can just drop the item rarity and add the actual support gem like increased critical damage. But yeah, that's it. Now let me give you a quick showcase of how the build performs. I will try and do what I usually do and rush the boss because of the altars. After all, I want to show you the build. So before any buffs, you saw that I killed the boss quite easily. This is 8 mod corrupted dunes, so I would say that the damage is definitely there. But after we start getting some buffs, that's when the fun starts. After all, this is a headhunter build, and headhunter is fun. Always some monster somewhere. Such. I will not do the whole map because this map is mostly just Legion. It is just Legion. We have 5 Legions currently. And I would usually do them all, clean or clear everything. And always I'm doing the ore, always. And then it's just looting. Let's do one last monolith. Yeah, you don't really see the masters that much, I would say. Okay, so about the items. We get a bow, +2 arrows, elemental damage at more than 1000 with increased attack speed and increased critical and strengthening. I searched for those earlier and they're currently around 50 divines. So yeah, or if you have the currency, you can just buy something better. If you don't have the currency, drop to one additional arrow or even drop the arrows. This will lower the budget a lot. The quiver, the same, we want to post one arrow. Here we want to get as high life roll as possible, and everything else is just damage. The other two rare items are helmet and boots. We need to cap or suppress on those items. By that I mean that we need combined, we need so it was, we have 28, combined we need 20. Why? Because we are 8% overcapped. Because even currently I have 14, so those are perfect suppress on both items, but it's not enough. If I use this point, I'm at 96, and if I use this, I'm overcapped, and that's just how it is. Let me just fix this. This is, yeah, if you decide that you need more damage, just do this and you can see. But on the suppression, so we are 8% overcapped, so all you need is combined on the two items 20% chance to suppress, and that way you will be up to 100. Now the helmet, again, we want as high life roll as possible. Here I crafted intelligence with essence spam, and you need one elemental resistance above 40 at least. Same for the boots, suppression, life, elemental, maybe chaos, and movement speed. Here we do want the open prefix for the projectile pierce additional target. Here just as high movement speed as possible. And the elemental resistance doesn't matter if you buy this from PoE trade, because you can change the elemental resistance here. So as long as it's above 40, you can change it to whatever you need. Now the rings, I'm using one taming with almost perfect rolls everywhere. The only not the highest roll is to all elemental resistances. I have 29, but that's more than enough. The Venturous Gamble is the item that will probably cap your resistances. So I would buy this item last after you've gotten everything else, and then just look for the resistances that you need on this item. For the life and rarity, it depends on what you want, but I just wanted more than 55 life and more than 30 increase rarity and more than 10% increase mana reservation efficiency, so that I have enough unreserved mana, because we are using some mana forged and we have a lot of attack speed. We have a lot of attack speed because of Soul Ascension, we gain Soul Eater, and we have it for almost all time during the map. So we are shooting like our skill, where our attack rate is quite fast because of that, and that means a lot of mana cost per second. But it also means a lot of damage, and yeah, they do have some chaos resistance, and I just found with some increased max life, it's just useful. More life, it's always good. The amulet we're using here is Truth with +1 additional curse, and the roll currently is quite good. I bought mine for 15 divines, but if you do this, for example, there's even one for 1 divine. But yeah, just buy whatever you can. And of course, Headhunter. The Flasks, Dying Sun, +2 projectiles, it gives us more clear. Progenesis for a big chunk of our tankiness, and movement speed, increased effect. I'm using increased effect on all Flasks because my philosophy, or at least the philosophy of this build, is that it's a mapper and you want to go as fast as possible. If you're going as fast as possible, you'll be killing monsters so fast that even though you have reduced duration on all of your flasks, they will have an uptime like close to 100%. So yeah, increased evasion, a Jade Flask with increased effect and increased evasion, Gold Flask with increased effect and increased rarity, movement speed with again effect and movement speed. Now the gems. So our main skill, Elemental Hit of the Spectrum. If you have the currency, buy 2120, that will be more damage. Returning projectiles, increased rarity, Trinity, inspiration, and awakened elemental damage. Now here for the +1 curse, first our main curse is mark on hit with sniper's mark, but for the second curse I'm using punishment because even if you go to the PoE and you can see that my configuration is accurate, I haven't clicked low life. I'm using that they take 29%, enemies take 29% more damage because punishment gives 58 increased damage on low life. So if you divide this by 2, that means 29. And you can see I have 16. If I remove the punishment and I add elemental weakness, it's less damage. So that's one thing. Another thing, you will not have enough intelligence if you don't change some things in the tree or on your items. And the third thing is that this curse isn't instant like mark on hit, because mark on hit, you just hit the enemy and it's marked. But this, in order to cast this curse, first you need to trigger Mana Forge, which triggers Frenzy. Then Frenzy needs to critically strike the enemy, which then will trigger Custom Critical Strike, which then will curse the enemy. By that time, the enemy will be on half-life anyway. So the elemental weakness will basically, you'll be losing like half of the duration of the elemental weakness because it will not be on the enemy. But punishment in this case seems like perfect. So that's why I chose punishment. Now Frenzy, here I already showed, but I'm using Frenzy with Mana Force and Custom Critical. That's how we automate the punishment. And Tornado, which is again linked to Custom Critical. And Blood Rage is here as well. I do have Blood Rage on the bow, so this isn't really active, but if you don't have it on the bow, this is where the gem would be, in the bow. Frenzy is level 1 because the cost is low that way and it will trigger more often from Mana Forged. Similar to our second Mana Forged, I'm using Ensnaring Arrow because of the Ensnare stacks. I just like it. It seems like it's a big chunk of damage. So that's why I'm using Ensnaring Arrow with Power Charge on critical and Mana Forged. And in here I just added Flame Dash because I didn't have anywhere else. In the helmet, mark on hit, sniper's mark, and Immortal Call custom damage taken. In the boots are our auras, a level 3 enlighten, purity of elements, haste, and summon skitterboards. Now about the tree. So this is the tree. I have two large clusters, one thread of hope with massive ring. I'm getting some good nodes. This is important, it's not really visible, but it is there, it is clicked, and we need it. This part of the tree I'm not really sure about, but it works for me, and I've left it, and that way I'm also getting those 2 points here for some more defenses. the large clusters, here we have the triple exposure notable, which is very nice for Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, and prismatic heart because it does help us cap the resistances that we need, and it gives us increased elemental damage. This large cluster is more about damage and a bit about survival. It gives us increased attack speed, chaos resistance, max life, and we have increased effect. This is far from perfect because it's tier 2 increased effect, it's not tier 1, but for it, I bought this for 10 divines, and the 35 effect with, for example, 4% chaos resistance, they were going for like maybe 40 or 50 divines at the time, so this was definitely more than enough for me, and it will get the job done. But you can of course buy better one. For the medium cluster, some chaos res on the notable, and we use repeater and aerodynamics. This is where we get our second pierce. First is on the helmet, and second is on the notable, and also gives us some projectile speed and damage. For the second medium, spike concoction for alchemist genius, and the interrogation for the small cluster here. And for this jewel, just get corrupted blood with the best possible mods that you can find. So that's pretty much about the gems. Now I will talk a bit about the defenses of the build. How are we this tanky on a bow character? And one of the reasons is this jewel here, and another of the reasons are those two jewels right here. So first of all, the usual defenses that we have is our guard skill, Immortal Call. Our second and most famous things that people use is Progenesis. Progenesis is definitely very helpful, and everybody has some kind of guard skill. But what we do get here first is this. This is probably the perfect seed of little pride that you can find for a bow character, because in all the notables here, almost like this is the only one that's not useful. Everything else is very good on the notables. But the most important one for the defenses is this 5% chance to gain an endurance charge on kill. And you can see the difference. So we don't have this at the start of the map, but if you're mapping and you're killing, it will be up there. I have checked when I was playing, and I've checked any videos that I've made, and it's up there almost all the time. And yeah, this jewel, it is maybe perfect, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to find it. I bought it for 20 divines, but they're going for like 40 to 50. Maybe you can do a live search, but you get endurance, you get intimidate, which is again a big chunk of damage, and then you get one chance to deal double damage and a second one, and then you also get 2 points that reduce the critical damage you take, and you get 2 points that increase your max life. So I don't know, for me that was the perfect jewel that I could find. Now the next thing that gives us very high tankiness or defenses or survivability, whatever you can say or call it, is the Forbidden Flame and Flash combo that I'm using, and that is Wind Ward. So Wind Ward says 4% less damage taken per gale force, lose all gale force when hit. If we're hit, you can see that we're a lot less we have a lot less max hit, but if we have gale force, we are quite high. Now technically the first time, or if you just start thinking about it, maybe this doesn't seem that good because you have to then regain your gale force, but I don't know. I am not sure how most people would think about that, but for me in the beginning, I thought that this wouldn't be too good, but then I just tried it and I did start to think more about this and I did the math, and especially with the gloves that we're using that gives a soul eater. Because of those gloves, what does soul eater give? It gives increased attack speed. We have 11 attacks per second. So that means that even if we are hit and we lose our gale force, in 1 second, because you gain 1 gale force when you use a skill, in 1 second we will use our skill 11 times. So in less than 1 second, we will be back to full gale force. So what this basically means is that we have a cooldown for the gale force uptime, and it's less than 1 second. While if you check Immortal Call, for example, its cooldown is 3 seconds. Also, this is 4% less damage taken per gale force. So that means it's 40% if you have max. While Immortal Call is only 26. So yeah, when you think of it like that, this is pretty OP. And I'm definitely going to continue using it because I am level 99 and I level this by myself, just mapping, doing what I showcased. That's how I leveled. I have this, but I have died only once after I become level 99, and that was because I wasn't being careful. I thought that I had cleared the whole map, but I didn't, and some random monster killed me. But yeah, uh, from level 94, when I had the first version of the character, to level 99, it was just such a breeze. I almost never died. So yeah, if you try it, you will see, and it is very comfortable. And that's pretty much about the build. If you have any questions, comment and I will try to answer as much as I can. And just I wish you a lot of divines and have fun.